night. My newspaper column this week is based on what I reported here on The Factor earlier this week about the Congressional Progressive Caucus. That group wants the following: to raise the top federal income tax rate for billionaires to 49%, to eliminate many tax deductions for high-wage earners in America, to tax investment income at the same rate as wages. That means if you make money on a stock and you're a rich person, you pay half your profits to the government. There's a bunch of other stuff the CPC wants, including a massive amount of new spending. Many folks, including me, think this would absolutely destroy the American economy. With us now is a man who disagrees, David Callahan from Demos, a liberal think tank. So let's take the 49% rate first for billionaires. And then they want 45%, I understand, for millionaires, right? Number one, I don't quite understand. I guess billionaires and millionaires would have to hand over their personal portfolio information to the IRS. That would have to happen, right?
Well, the idea here, Bill, is that Donald Trump and his dermatologist shouldn't be paying the same tax rate. Right now, after 39%, everybody who makes more than $400,000 a year pays the same rate.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make sense that a dermatologist making $425,000 a year pays the same rate as somebody making $400 million.
You always have a top rate on anything, okay?
Right.
So, I mean, you want a progressive rate up to infinity, I guess. But that would require the federal government to go into my house and to you know, almost do a calculation on what I'm worth, to then put an onerous taxation on me. Do you believe it's morally right for any government to impose a 50%, 49% tax rate on anybody?
Well, actually, that's exactly what Ronald Reagan did when he passed his tax law.
I don't care about Ronald Reagan. I want to know if you believe it.
Look, in 1981, the tax rate that Ronald Reagan signed into law,
So we're back to Ronald Reagan.
The top tax bracket was 50%.
Okay.
So
but
what
that
basically,
was, nobody paid it because of the deductions and because of the tax shelters.
And believe me, there's still plenty of deductions. So what the Congressional Progressive Caucus is suggesting is we go back to the top tax bracket.
No.
1980s,
this is much simpler
which I think was a pretty good period, you would have to admit, right?
No. I'm not going to admit that because it's not relevant to our discussion. Our discussion is, does the federal government in a free nation, and I emphasize free nation, have the right to take half your stuff no matter how much money you earn?
It worked for a long time in this country.
Do they have the right morally to do that?
Absolutely, Bill.
Okay,
they have the right.
Confiscation of property. And by the way, the CPC would give a $5 million $5 million exemption when you die, and they commit to 65% on a death tax for people who make a lot of money.
Which again was that was the rate back during the Reagan years. What the CPC is suggesting.
So Ronald Reagan is the poster boy for the CPC. That's
look, we had very high tax rates on the rich during the boom decades of the 50s,
and they
the 60s,
were not paid because of all the tax dodges. Are you a socialist person? Do you believe that socialist philosophy of share the wealth, and then if you earn it, you owe it to other people to give it to them? Are you a socialist, Mr. Callahan?
I believe that the people who've done phenomenally well, look, that top 1%, they've seen their incomes triple.
So what should they do? What is their obligation?
Their obligation is to help us get out of the hole we're in.
By giving half of what they get? Half?
Going back to those Reagan tax rates to get out of the situation we're in. And the other great thing about this budget, $1 trillion for infrastructure spending.
Fine.
7 million
Let me just
jobs.
read you this.
Bill,
One more thing. All right. Now, the gross domestic product grew at an annual rate of 1.7% before the Bush tax cuts, because that was 9/11, and we were in trouble economically after 9/11. Once President Bush cut the tax rate and brought everybody down, all right, the GNP then shot up to 4.1%. So my theory is that your taxation and your friends in Congress who won't appear, Mr. Callahan at least had the guts to appear, none of them would, okay, doesn't work economically and would actually hurt poor people because the economy is being kept down by this high taxation. How do you answer that?
Look at the historic record. During some of the highest tax periods in American history, in the 60s and in the 1960s, we had a 70% top tax bracket. We had a booming economy. Look, the rich have plenty of money. They can help us out in this situation to invest in this country's future.
I don't know if that's freedom, Mr. Callahan, but we